Unwanted Crochet Vlogcast. Hello, how are you? You alright? I am Rosina. I am a crochet designer coming to you from the southwest of the UK on a vaguely overcast day, and a day where I've been like mega busy already. It's probably, the last episode was like nearly an hour long. It won't be that long this week because I've got no sort of catch up to do, just what I've been doing over the last couple of weeks. I'm talking to you like that because I can't see out this hair fringe thing. So yeah, I hope you've got some crochet on the go, or knitting or sewing or whatever it is you do, and that you can sit your bum down, have a bit of a break from stuff that's not crochet. Crochet is priority right now. Let's get stuck into it by talking about something that's not quite crochet. I was just going to sort of update you on my day and what I've been up to, because it started off at 8 AM with a driver's awareness course. I think it might have been February, and I was caught speeding by the police and they got me, and I mean, I was doing 60 in a 50, so it's you know, not good. And initially I was supposed to go to somewhere in Dorset to do a whole day to do this course, and you pay £120 for the privilege, so you don't get points on your licence, and then you also think about the consequences of your actions and what potential awfulness could happen if you are irresponsible when driving. And actually I did find it very interesting. It wasn't one of those hardships or one of those things where you go ugh. I found it good, which surprised me actually. I thought it would be awful. So I did that from 8 AM till 10:15, it wasn't too bad, and I had a workbook to do yesterday as part of it, and two people that attended the webinar thingy this morning had not read their books and got promptly kicked off the course. I can't believe it, the emails that you get going, read the booklet, do the workbook, and then people turn up and go, oh yeah, I didn't quite read it. I didn't quite read it. What? You mean you didn't read it? And the woman who ran the course said to one guy, so what did you think was the most useful thing from this workbook? What self-reflection have you done? What have you got from this? And he said something like, oh yeah, the distance of breaking times has really, you know, that really got me. And she was like, and what else did you find interesting? And he was like, well, I'd only skim read it, and I was just like, well, that's obvious from the fact that there was nothing to do with breaking speeds in it. He'd told a lie. So that was an exciting morning. I've still got to go. I want to go to the pharmacy, put in a prescription order request thingy. I haven't got around to doing that yet. I have been doing crochet charts. I think I've finished. I just need to sort of put them into Photoshop and do numbers up against the rows, because I think numbers up against rows is sort of quite useful when following a chart. So I think that's the only thing I've got to do on the charts, and that's it, and that's for this. So I haven't just abandoned it, which I was very close to doing, not because I don't love it, just because I've got so much else on that this one sort of got bumped down the list. I've got 2 pairs of wrist warmers to make for commission type jobs, and 2 other commissions I think that I have to do first, but I was just like, no, come on, do some of Days of Summer, because if you don't, then there'll be just even more. So I've drawn up a chart for the main body, I've drawn up a chart for the border as well, this pretty edging, and then I think there's a few rows I haven't written, and then it'll be just tweaking, and then it'll be ready for testers. And the testers I'm going to put it out for first. As you know, if you watched the last episode, it will be my patrons getting first dibs on that. And so it's imminent, it's coming soon. Right. Oh, the other thing is, and actually, I'm amazed that in this camera it's highlighted it and I thought it had gone. Don't look at the spots around it, but around here, not Sunday gone, and it's, bearing in mind it's Tuesday, the Sunday before I was stung by a wasp, and my God did it hurt. Oh crikey Moses, it really flipping hurt. I was on my way to the shop to go and get some stuff for lunch, I think, and it flew underneath my sunglasses and stung me here, or like 2 or 3 times under here, and I yelped and hollered, good and proper. Said a few curse words, and there's these 2 guys walking their dog, and they just stopped and stared at me like I was a complete lunatic. Because quite frankly I did probably look like a raving loony, because I was there flapping about, there's nobody else around apart from me, and I'm there telling somebody to go away. And I chucked my sunglasses on the floor and I went to swipe it away and it wouldn't go, it was like clinging to my face and I had to pull it from my eye socket. It was agony. Luckily, I think it did a little dance in my eyeball, but it didn't sting me or get me in my eyeball, because I probably would have had to go to the doctors or something for that. It's just underneath, and it's still lumpy. And up until, I don't think I did it this morning, but I wake up every morning and it's puffy. I have to wait for it to go down. It's ridiculous. I need to be careful, because I imagine that that's probably a mild allergic reaction. I don't suffer from allergies at all, but the last couple of times I've been stung, which is this time, and then I got stung on my hand about 5 years ago, my whole hand swelled up. So I'm not sure if that's normal. Do you ever get stung by bees or wasps and just go ouch and that's it? What's normal? I don't know. Anyway, what else have I written down to remember? Nothing. I hadn't even written, funnily enough, I hadn't even written the driver's awareness course was interesting enough to talk about, but because it's fresh in my mind, you got it anyway. What was I going to say? I wasn't going to say very much about the whole thing I talked about last episode, other than to say I did get more thumbs down than usual. I guess people objected to me sharing my political views, and I didn't exactly go on. I said I was going to keep it brief. But yeah, I guess a few people didn't like it. But I don't like misogyny, I don't like homophobia, I don't like racism, I don't like whatever else that Trump does. And he displays all of those things and more. And a vote for Trump is saying that you kind of brush those things under the carpet, and that's not on. So, but me saying that isn't like revelatory, is it? Not really. But for those of you that commented, thank you very much. I appreciate it. Yeah, that's good stuff. Good conversations to have. Even though I'm a bit of a spaz about like serious conversations, I still do have them. Right. Shall I press stop before I carry on? I will, because it will cut off. Cuts off every 12 minutes. So I guess you want to know what I've been working on. Well, aside from writing up patterns, I've written up some patterns in the last couple of weeks. I've sent off a commission as well, which I love. It looks really good and I'm really excited about it, and I can't wait to talk about it, but I have to wait till November, I think. But it was a really good project. I'm very excited to be part of it as well. But aside from that, and aside from Days of Summer chart and pattern writing and all that, I've been working on 2 main things that I can talk about, which doesn't sound like a lot, but I'm sure I can stretch it out, okay? So in my special bag, last time I had quite a handful of granny squares, right? Well, I've put them all together, which is fun, because I'm making a test jumper for Heather from HG Designs, and Heather has her own podcast that you might want to check out, but this will be one of her first releases. She's designed an awful lot, but they're sort of in various stages of progress, and this will be one of the first ones that she releases as a pattern to buy. So I've done the main bit of the body, which is putting all my grannies together. The waistband is just pinned on with stitch markers, okay? I haven't stitched that on yet. And so I've got that many grannies all continuously joined, and then I've joined them at the shoulders and here at the sides, so I can try it on, and I know that it fits. It's a good fit. I don't know whether, oh, I'm going to leave it. I'm not going to put it on because it's not ready. It's just not ready. But I've done a waistband, but as you can see, it needs stitching on. The cowl needs stitching on as well. So that'll go like that. It's good, isn't it? This is going to be a good jumper for when the weather turns. I mean, where are we? We're July. So in a month's time, going towards the end of August, beginning of September, I imagine that we'll get some cooler weather and I'll be able to start wearing it then. It'll be ready now. I mean, to be honest with you, there's some days here now it's jumper weather. It's just so changeable, it's ridiculous. So cowl goes on, waistband goes on, and then I have done some sleeves too. I've got a headache. Where's that come from? I've just noticed I've got a headache. Stupid brain. So as you can see, the elements are all created separately and then you stitch them all together at the end. So I'm this far in sleevesies. I decided to do them, like I did the cuffs at the same time, and then I did the forearms at the same time, and now I'm on the upper arm, and I thought that might help with getting the tension right on both sleeves, rather than making one week and then putting it down and then making the other one and then it come out a bit loppy. So yeah, there's my join. My join is slightly different. I have gone off-pieced with the join. That's the only time I did, because I've just sort of decided to make the effort with my joining rather than doing a chain counting as a stitch these days. A lot of my designs will be incorporating a different join instead, because it's more, not seamless, but just less holey. In that, for example, this is a half treble sleeve, so instead of a 2 chain counting as a stitch, I just chain 1 and then half treble in the same stitch, and I don't count the chain. And if that were a treble stitch, then I chain 1 and treble in the same stitch and ignore the chain 1 for that as well. It leaves a sort of like slightly squatter treble, but in the finished product of whatever it is you've made you don't notice. But what you do notice is there's not a little tiny gapy hole on each row. And I've been doing it on and off. The first time I came across it was when I, ages ago, made a colour block granny jumper that was a Clec Heaton jumper. When did I make that? 2 or 3 years ago? But I never sort of fully adopted it until recently, when I was just like, why don't I just do it for everything? This sleeve isn't as tidy because this sleeve happened on a Sunday evening when I had 2 glasses of wine, and wasn't as tidy up until that point, because that's what I did on the Sunday eve. And then I did that like yesterday morning before moving on to doing this one good and proper. and I could have ripped it back, but I really don't think you'll notice in the grand scheme of things, not really. I think it'll be okay. But other than that, the shaping of this jumper design that Heather has done, it's real good. I like it a lot. And I'm well within my, it's going to be like, I think I'm using 4 balls of DK for the main bit of the jumper, which is great. I'll finish within that, no problem. And then I think for the most part I am following the rules, I'm following the pattern. There's just been a couple of occasions where I've just like that sleeve change where it's not really about the pattern, it's just about preference, I suppose. So I don't feel like I'm breaking rules or misbehaving when I'm doing this test crochet, because when you do a test, or when I do a test, I like it to be accurate, and I might get on the designer's nerves by being thorough, but there's no point being a tester if you're not going to be thorough, as far as I see it. It's not about sort of getting the gist of it and off you go. I like to read every single word that's written on the page, and know whether or not it needs to be there, I guess, and if it's right, rather than, I think a lot of people read the first couple of lines, go, right, I know what I'm doing, and then they just do it, and for a lot of the time it can be instinctive, it can be like that, but for testing, you're testing it, you're not just going, I've got the gist and off I go. So I'm being, I hope, thorough enough without being irritating by emailing every day going, oh, I've got a question. So I've been working on that. I am so close to the finish line, it's unbelievable. I could probably finish that by tonight. I'm not going to, but I could if I wanted to. It's going to be a good one. And the other change I made was the pattern. The original pattern has 3 rows of grannies. I've done 4. I've done 4 because I know that I like a longer jumper, and it is a crop design, but I'm making allowances for a bigger bust and a longer body, and I think having 4 rows, not 3, is a good idea if you're that way, if you're built that way. I think maybe a month or 2 ago I showed you that I was doing some cross stitch, and I was just stitching onto a painted bit of Ada some crochet symbols. That kind of came to nothing much. I've got it, but I don't like it because I was just randomly putting them anywhere on this little bit of canvas, and I didn't like the fact that it was just sort of chucked on symbols that didn't actually, it wasn't like, I wanted it, if I'm going to do cross stitch with crochet symbols on it, I want the crochet symbols to actually be a readable pattern and not just chucked on randomly. So it was a bit of an experiment, and I think I need to revisit adding cross stitch like onto something like this. This is terrible, cheap, nasty Ada that I ordered off Amazon. Should know better. Just like literally, I painted the, I'll show you in a second what I mean by the painted colour, just some acrylic on top. And then I'd done like the symbol for a treble stitch, a US double. I'd done like a chain and other stitches, and they were just literally popped on anywhere without much thought. Wouldn't it be good that if you were doing that, it just represented a little makeable pattern? I had issues, like there's only, you can't do everything because you've obviously got the crosses going horizontal and vertical. I don't know how well on a small scale like this, like if I was thinking like a crochet chart for a flower or something you could put on there, but I don't know if it would translate well enough on a small scale. I think you'd need to have a big bit, and then it wouldn't be so pixely, would it? You'd have more detail the bigger you went, because you could have more pixels per... God, not explaining very well, but that's a lot of words to express something that hasn't moved on. What I have moved on with is my granny version, which I've still yet to finish. It's going to be a 3 round granny. There's round 1, round 2, and then I'm just starting round 3 here. I really like it, but I don't know how granny it is, and the amount of playing you can do with, I don't know if I've got my notebook here, just the shaping. I started doing that, but so you can, there's a smaller version inside a bigger version. This was slightly wrong because I think I got them all a grid, a column out or something like that. But I tried to make it smaller here, closer together. Do you have them close together? Do you have them far apart? Big, small, wide, narrow, squat, long. Honestly, the buggering about that I've been doing with my grannies is incredible. See, I think it's all right, isn't it? But look, I mean, it's a lot of playing around, and you wouldn't believe how much time it takes. Because initially they were kind of teardrop shape as well, which didn't work. That was a bit stupid. But if you look at a granny square, well, I've got one, haven't I? I forgot to mention that this jumper is actually called Revival, so keep an eye on that. But oh my god, that's really hard to recreate. Really blinking hard. I don't even know if you can. Because it was all black, I decided to separate them out a bit so that they were all individual. If you put them too close together, it's just a splodge of one note. So I've done 2 charts, a black and white version, and then these, believe it or not, are closer together and therefore possibly more granny-like. But with this chart, what I was going to do, and as you can see I've actually started crossing stuff off, was, well, that's going to go on this canvas, okay, with different colour threads for each round, a la this. But before I embark on that, I thought, C to C, make a granny square in C to C. I thought, that's so clever. I was really smug about it. I was just like, well done you, I really congratulated myself. And then I started making it and I didn't like it, so I've given up. Like literally, I've cut all those ends and just chucked it in a corner, and I'm not going to do anything with that. Not only was it coming up massive, and I didn't know actually what, I didn't like the colours particularly, I think, I don't know, a bit too autumny or something. I should have probably stuck with it and just done it, but I looked at it and I was just like, no, don't like you. And this is a good sort of 2 or 3 hours work, I reckon, because the amount of times you have to rip it back because you've missed out a colour block. And then also what I didn't like was this. So if you were to make this into like a cushion cover, you could do that because you wouldn't see the ends. Same if it were a bag. Not that I'd want it. I don't. Although I've made a few, I'm not sure I'm keen on acrylic for a bag, especially not with C to C. For some reason I prefer cotton for C to C. Even though I have made acrylic C to C bags. I've forgotten what I was talking about. I thought if this was going to be a little baby blanket, because I'm not even halfway, say, you'd have to back it and sew maybe some sort of fleece on the back of it. to hide all of this, or you could be really thorough and determined and get a bobbin of, I mean look, it's because basically you're jumping over to do cream, cream and cream. That means 1, 2, 3 separate bobbins for that section alone of the cream, and then separate bobbins for the 2 greens, and then obviously that would increase when you've got green, orange, cream, cream, orange, cream, green. Then you've got even more when you get into the crux of the centre. Well, I just didn't want to do that. I wasn't committed enough for that malarkey, so I've quit. I can get an alright picture of what it would look like. Would it be obviously granny though? Don't know. I'm not sure. I think that was putting me off, whether or not it would stand out as like, oh, I see what you've done, that's so clever. I didn't know if it was clever enough or whether or not it would just turn out to be a little bit rubbish. So what I think I might do is revisit C2C Granny, but just do a 2-rounder maybe, so that it's not as big. I mean, mind you, there's only like 6 or so columns fewer in this grid than in the other one. Might need some jiggery pokery to make it even smaller. I'm a lazy so-and-so ultimately, and don't have time to make a big one, or the patience or the impetus. So could make a smaller one. Does it look like a granny square enough? In this one I put little tiny green in there for corners because sometimes you see flashes of colour, but I wasn't sure I liked that either. I think it's one of those things where the more you stare at it, the more you don't see what you intended anymore. So what do you reckon anyway? It would go on my wall eventually when I finished it. I think I can do some, like a couple of like clusters a night. I'd have it finished in no time, I'm sure. Granny cross stitch? Let me know your thoughts. Ultimately it probably will become a thing. I know that I had requests to explore this idea further. So yeah. So that's pretty much it for my projects that I can show. The other ones are sort of coming soon, but perhaps not soon enough, because I've seen the photography for one of my designs that's coming out soon, but I can't remember what issue it's in. It's in Inside Crochet magazine, but I can't remember what issue. It'll be an autumn one, but it's something I made in March. And then something I'm making at the moment is for the same issue. Did I talk about this last time? Well, it's still on my list of things to do, and I have started. I've got the yarn, it's beautiful. Very excited by that. And then another project for another company that is going to be good. I'm just trying to work out a name for that one. I've got a name, but it's a bit like, I would have to explain why I've called it what I've called it. And then I've got another project to do, waiting for the yarn for that one, but I'm excited because I gave 2 options and I don't know which option got chosen, so I don't know what yarn will arrive. That's quite exciting. It'll be good whichever, obviously. What else? Yesterday I signed up for a coffee account, just in case. I may as well have as many pies to stick my fingers in as possible, I figure. So I will leave a link down below for that, just in case. And also there's Patreon too. I uploaded the video for my garden on there a few days ago. I did, and then I've started sort of like filming other stuff. I'm tickled for a reason. I filmed a walk I went on recently and I thought that would be quite a nice one to put on Patreon. Just for a few minutes, just sort of show one of the walks that I do around my outside of town, just sort of within walking distance. But on whatever day it was, the weekend, I filmed the tortoises because they were having a really good time. My mum said I was prurient. She accused me of being prurient, which basically means you're a pervy voyeur. It was hilarious because one of the tortoises was very enthusiastic and he kind of humped himself backwards and was on his back and he couldn't get up. But then he did get up. I was amazed. He managed to wig himself over. I mean, there'd be a lot of dead tortoises if that's all it took. Yeah, it was an entertaining weekend. I don't know if that's something I should share online or not, because it might be a little bit much. What are your thoughts? Would you like to see torty porn? I'm not sure. Right, look, if I'm talking about rudeness, it's probably, you know, time to cut this short. Time's it. It'll probably be time to get the kids from school anyway. And I tell you what, speaking of the children, they also witnessed these shenanigans. The eldest, he knows what's what because he's grown, you know, he's old enough now to have learnt it at school, to have conversations at home, whereas the youngest one, he's 7. What are they doing? It's like, I'm sure you've seen this last year. Come on. It's plain forgotten. I was like, well, they're mating. Okay, and then he runs off. Daddy, Pod is riding Ludo. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to give a thumbs up, leave a comment, subscribe, all that stuff, and I'll see you again next time. Thanks, bye.